I think the better question is, what don't we do?
Ooh, okay.
We do a lot of good stuff. It's so hard to put it into words because every time I try to describe it, I'm not doing this program justice trying to talk about it in just a little synopsis. But I would say our key things we focus on are professional development and mentorship, and that mentorship as far as being mentored and also being a mentor.
Mrs. A, what's going on right now? Are you crying?
Yes.
Why are you crying?
Because I am so proud of the fellows and the community and everything they've built at Thomas More. And Erin's graduating, and though you'll probably get into it, she'll just be a little bit up the road.
All right, we're having fun today. We have an amazing episode for you. Welcome to Economics with Dr. A. I'm your host, Dr. Abdullah Alvarani, Associate Professor of Economics at the Hale College of Business at Northern Kentucky University. And on this channel, we help you improve your life through leveraging the power of economics and professional development, and we stay true to that theme. Today, we're actually expanding beyond Northern Kentucky University. We are heading 7 miles west to Thomas More University, and I have two special guests with me. The first you've heard on this podcast before, Mrs. Jenny Albarani. How are you doing, Jenny?
I'm doing good today. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. And then the second is a brand new person, first time here, so make sure to leave a comment and give her, you can give her a round of applause, is Erin Preston. Erin, how are you doing today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how nervous are you?
I'll give it like a 10 being the most nervous.
Yes.
I'll give it a 6.
6?
Sure.
I will tell you something that I really appreciate is you asked which direction the scale goes. Most people don't. So today's conversation is going to be with Erin Preston. Erin is graduating on Saturday. Her podcast will be released on Friday, and she graduates on Saturday. I've had the privilege of knowing Erin now for a year and a half. Mm-hmm. A year, really. And Erin has been a fellow at the Zembrodt Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship. What?
Entrepreneurship and innovation.
Oh, my bad. So correct me, Erin. How do you say it?
Zembrodt Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation.
Thank you for correcting me.
No problem.
So what does a fellow do?
I think the better question is, what don't we do?
Ooh, okay.
We do a lot of good stuff. It's so hard to put it into words because every time I try to describe it, I'm not doing this program justice trying to talk about it in just a little synopsis. But I would say our key things we focus on are professional development and mentorship, and that mentorship as far as being mentored and also being a mentor. So I would say that's kind of the biggest of our responsibilities.
Okay. So professional development is the anchor, the theme in which you navigate your experience. So you started this program as a senior.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. In the first cohort.
Really?
Yes.
So you all were like the guinea pigs.
Yes.
Okay. I'm really excited about this. I want to know all the details. Mrs. A, what's going on right now? Are you crying?
Yes.
Why are you crying?
Because I am so proud of the fellows and the community and everything they've built at Thomas More. And Erin's graduating, and though you'll probably get into it, she'll just be a little bit up the road. I'm going to miss her. And I don't call them guinea pigs. I call them the OGs.
The OGs. All right. I'm sorry. Mrs. A, do me a huge favor, and can you speak into the microphone?
Speak into the microphone.
Perfect. Crisp audio, as Fawaz always says. Crisp. So OG fellow, you started off in the fall of 2023.
Yes. Can I full disclosure something.
Please.
So when I first heard about the program, when Mrs. A first kind of introduced it, I said no thank you. At first, I was like, I have other things going on. I don't know if this is for me. Like, I just kind of brushed it off, and that was the worst thing I think I ever could have done. Luckily, I kind of got a second chance at that, kind of in an indirect way, but I wasn't one of the fellows to begin with because I did not know what was being offered to me. But as I started to work with Mrs. A through the summer and found out that she was kind of revitalizing the business society club, if you want to call it that, she doesn't like to call it that. Okay. And I was like, I'm a business administration major. Like, I know this club has exists, but it's been very like dormant. And so when I saw she was taking that over, I kind of reached out and was like, hey, like, I'm interested in getting involved with this and helping like revamp it if you need that. And in those conversations, she kind of brought up the fellowship again. And I had a friend that was in it. And I was like, you know what, this might actually be a really good opportunity. And I kind of went to her, tail between my legs a little bit, like, hey, remember how you wanted me to do this? Yeah, I think I should take you up on that. Can I apply now and join the group? And she was very gracious with me and gave me that opportunity. And I could not be more grateful for that, because I will say that I've had a lot of great experiences in my 4 years at Thomas More, but this was definitely my favorite. So,
Time out. Too many tears, Mrs. A. What are you feeling right now, Mrs. A?
I remember that day,
Mm-hmm.
the day that Erin's talking about, and I thought, this is going to be good.
Yeah. So Erin actually mentioned something that I think a lot of students go through, and opportunities presented to them.
Mm-hmm.
And initially you said no.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Fear, mostly.
Mm-hmm.
Fear of the unknown and uncertainty, I guess.
Yeah.
In a lot of the things I had done at Thomas More, I'd started my freshman year. I don't know, I think it was the high stakes maybe too.
Yeah.
I knew that it wasn't just going to be just another work study, which I think I counted the other day, and in my time I had 9 different work studies as a student. So like, they've ranged in responsibility and, impact. But I think the biggest thing was fear. And I think the biggest thing, like with the new center, kind of the idea of entrepreneurship, to me and to a lot of people, I think there's this misinterpretation that entrepreneurship is just like starting your own business, which is definitely part of it, but there's so much more to it. And a big thing we talk about a lot is an entrepreneurial mindset. And so when it was first brought to me, I was like, yes, I'm a business major and like I'm interested in business, but I have no desire to like start my own business. So that's something that like scares me. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, no, I don't. I'm
gonna stay away from it.
Yeah.
But do you see the power of what you did, Erin? You did not have a blueprint in front of you, mm-hmm. and not having that blueprint scared you. Mm-hmm. But now you've created a blueprint for future. That's why you're the OG fellows.
Yeah.
Because you are the role model for the future. Mm-hmm. And now the next fellows. Have you all decided on the next fellows yet? When are you going to announce them?
I'm announcing over summer.
Okay.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Thank you. So the next fellows have less uncertainty because they have you to vouch for the system. They have mm-hmm. your success as an indication of what's possible, which mm-hmm. from our experience could be a good or a bad thing, because mm-hmm. I don't know if you know this, Erin, but you've kind of set the bar. It's a bit high. Mm-hmm. Some people are going to look at you now and they're going to say, I don't know if I can be Erin. What do you have to say to that person that says that?
Don't try to be Erin, be you.
Oh my God, that just... Mrs. A is just bawling here.
Because in a lot of what we do, like I think a lot of us in the fellows group or even in her classes look up to Mrs. A. I don't think any of us would try to set the goal to be Mrs. A because it would simply be impossible. So don't try to be someone else.
Be yourself.
Use them, sure, as a role model or, you know, to inspire you. Like, that's great. But, you know, take what you've learned from them, turn your own spin on it, find what makes you you and where you thrive and excel.
It's such powerful words, and if somebody's listening to this, those are words of wisdom. As you reflect on your past year, and we're going to talk about where you're going next, but I want to look backwards.
Sure.
What are you most proud about for this past academic year? What accomplishment have you had? Or it doesn't have to. You look back and you say, "I'm proud for what is that?"
Can I interrupt?
Sure.
Quick, just real quick, so Erin can have a second to think about that. She said a lot of powerful words a second ago, and something that I want to add to that is I feel that I am good at my role and my job because of that mindset of here are the opportunities. I might be scared, but I trust this person and I want to try it. And Erin spoke a lot about being Mrs. A or what I provide, but what I want to note is what Erin and the fellows provided for me my first year at Thomas More, and the community and the team, the collaboration, the thinking out of the box, the weekly meetings. It's something that I look forward to in everything I do at work. And I don't want to call it work when I speak about the fellowship because, yes, we work hard. We do things at our work. And it is hard to describe that feeling of connectedness. So
it's community.
It's community. And when I hear the fellows talk a lot about what the fellowship has provided them and what, you know, what I've provided them, I want to make sure that, you know, you have provided me with so much utility and happiness. And this past year has just been amazing because of the fellows.
Do you think you would have been able to do your job without Erin?
Not at all. None of this would be possible the past year. The nominations, the awards, the shout outs without the fellows.
We have other fellows podcasts happening, and we're going to give the other fellows some, but this is Erin's time. So what has Erin done to influence your work, Mrs. A?
Erin has pushed me to see new things. Things that we know in academia, like we know how to do our job, the process, the things that get done daily. But Erin has really pushed me to think about it in different ways. And she has, in a very healthy way, challenged me in my mentorship capabilities. And that may sound like I'm saying Erin is a challenge as a mentee. That's not what I'm saying. It is truly that two-way, and Dr. A, you and I talk about this a lot. Mentorship is not just about the mentor. It is that relationship between the mentor and the mentee, and that magic that happens in a circular way.
Yeah, it goes both. It's not two ways because the nodes are also with the other fellows. And as we're having this conversation, there's two other fellows listening in, and today would not be possible without their presence. Maybe we should put them on air later on, but let's talk to yes.
I should have brought in tissue.
Fawaz has some.
I didn't really think this would be the place.
Well, welcome to Economics with Dr. A, where we talk about the tough and important conversations.
But now Erin can answer your question.
Erin, Mrs. A distracted me. Mm-hmm. This is all about you. What is the most proud moment that you've had in the past year?
There's been a lot of shining moments for me this year where I think this has been my best year. And, as a senior, that kind of makes sense. It's kind of the culmination of everything. And to pick something, I guess I will talk about our experience at Startup Cincy from dorm room to boardroom was the name of the panel. Thomas More had the chance to participate with 4 other local universities to talk about their entrepreneurship programs and what their students are doing in those programs. And when Mrs. A told me about it, she was not overly transparent, which is probably a good thing because I might not have said yes. I don't know. Lies by omission more so than anything.
I want to know the details of this
I didn't know what I was getting myself into initially. She's just kind of like, yeah, there's this event. Like, someone needs to talk with me. Like, I think you would. And at that point, I was like, the trust was there. I'm like, if she wants me to do it, like, she hasn't steered me wrong. Like, okay. And I agreed. Mm-hmm. And flash forward to the event. We were in OTR. I can't remember what it's called, but in this big space
Union Hall.
Union Hall, yes. And there's a couple hundred people in there from these different universities, students from high schools, businesses, you name it, they were there, and we were going to sit on the stage and speak in front of them. And I was extremely nervous. Talk about scale of 1 to 10. That day we broke the scale on that day for sure. But I was so nervous, and I think we went like 3rd maybe out of the 5 groups. And this first or second group, the mentor kind of so the panel was a student and the mentor, director, whatever. Mm-hmm. And he kind of gave an introduction, then he left the student up there, and I looked at Mrs. A and I said, if you leave me up there by myself, I will not be happy. She's like, I'm not going to leave you up there. So we got to sit up there when it was our turn and kind of just have a conversation about what our program is and why it's great. And it was just really rewarding to represent our university, represent a program that I care so much and believe in so much. And I was able to really articulate what I wanted to say in that moment because I had practice, I kind of had notes and stuff, and I just hadn't gotten out how I wanted to get it out. And some of the other fellows were there. We had some other students there. My fiance was there. That really helped me. Of course, having Mrs. A on stage with me, kind of guiding me through it. It was a really cool experience for sure.
So I can tell you that right after that event, I texted Mrs. A and I said, how did the event go? And she said, Erin killed it. She didn't talk about anything else other than how amazing you did. And that happened, what time? It was early fall.
It was in October.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So October sets the tone for the rest of the year. Mm-hmm. You challenge yourself in ways that you never thought so early on. Mm-hmm. It's senior year. Mm-hmm. You said senior year is usually an easy or accomplishing year. I beg to differ. Senior year is senioritis. People are giving up. Did you have any of that?
I kind of got to a burnout point where I was stretching myself really thin, where it was kind of like, okay, like I can't wait to just have one hat instead of 20 hats kind of thing, which I don't think I'll ever have one hat, but I was just kind of all over the place, and it was like, oh yeah, schoolwork's supposed to be fitting in there too, and that was just kind of off to the side a little bit, which it worked out okay, but senioritis I think was definitely a bit of a player.
And the reason that's really difficult is you're burnt out. Everybody gets there, by the way. You're not unique in that sense. Mm-hmm. But also it's such a high stakes, pivotal time of your life. You're supposed to find your job, your next phase, your new beginnings, and that's what adds stress. You don't have the energy, and you're supposed to figure out all of these things. How did your job search go?
Well, it wasn't exactly ordinary, if you want to say that. Kind of my plan for a while. Another thing that gave me a lot of fear was thinking about post-grad, because I'd been a student all my life, a high-achieving student at that, and that was just kind of what I'd known, and that's what I was used to, and that was cool, and now things were going to change. And with the fellows, a lot of us were thinking about, well, do we want to do our masters, and what do we want to do? And kind of, to me, the kind of comforting route was to stay at Thomas More, because I'd been there, I loved it there, I wanted to stay and do my master's. And I was kind of looking at jobs a little bit, like if I wasn't going to stay and do my master's, but I would, put in applications, wouldn't necessarily hear back, but there wasn't really anything I was super passionate about that I really wanted to follow up on, because I was perfectly content with staying at Thomas More. So then, as time went on, it was looking like I probably wasn't going to do that, and I had to really start thinking about what other options I had. And I went to Mrs. A's office hours, like I did almost every Tuesday and Thursday, and was like, I saw this job, do you think I should apply? And she's like, well, actually, I just got an email with a job that I think might be a good fit. Do you want to apply for this? And I remember looking at the job description, it was bulleted, and I was like, check, check, check. I'm like, this really lines up with things I am experienced in or enjoy. And I was like, sure, let's apply. And we sat down right there. We happened to just have the time to me submit the application and her respond to the contact that had sent her the email. And I think they contacted me the next day. I'm pretty sure I got a call the next day for an interview. This was Tuesday, heard on Wednesday, went in for my interview Friday, went in for a follow-up the next week, and they offered me the job. So we're talking about a week of turnaround, which was pretty kind of crazy.
That is crazy. Your life literally changed in a week.
Yeah.
The magic of office hours.
Okay.
It's true.
So many important things here. I want to dig deep. I've got some hot takes over here. All right.
Okay.
So if you're listening, you're going to love this. Office hours, super important. Mm-hmm. Go. Were you taking a class with Mrs. A?
Never. Okay. Not officially, anyway.
So you don't have to be a student in a class to go and take over office hours. Use them. Please, please, please show up to these.
They're there for a reason.
And most of the time, us professors are sitting there wishing somebody will show up. Mm-hmm. And so thank you for taking advantage of this. Number 2, and this is for Mrs. A. We talk about, so a lot of employers right now are having a hard time acquiring talent. Mm-hmm. They're using postings on, the LinkedIn monsters, whatever, Indeed, whatever is famous and popular today. The problem with that is you as an individual, it's really hard for you to build a rapport with that business. Mm-hmm. So anybody that's looking to acquire talent, what you just heard that happened over here is the model of the future. You need to develop relationships with personal relationships with academics, because they know the students so well. Mrs. A knew that you were a perfect fit. In fact, she was a recruiter for this entity indirectly because she knew that the entity, and she knew you as an individual. That connection led to an immediate finding of the talent, acquiring the talent within a week. Think about how much money companies would save if they looked at this model. Mrs. A, what do you have to say about that?
I agree, and I'm wondering if Erin's going to announce where she'll be working.
We're holding off. We got to save it for the last minute of this.
Oh, that's mean.
Well, people...
Cliffhanger.
It's called suspense.
Yeah, we got to build up this retention rates on this podcast.
I agree with you. We talk about this a lot. A lot of things come across our desk. We have access to really great talent, and that is something that I hold very near and dear to my heart.
Yeah.
It is more than just a matchmaking service. It is us knowing our students very well, and it's us as academics knowing industry well. That's why it's important for us to also get off campus. We tell our students, you got to get off campus. It's
Yeah.
important for us to get off campus, build those relationships. Yes, the timing was just so perfect that day during the office hours, or discussion hours as we call it as well. But it's also knowing Erin so well, and knowing really not just her skills and the things she's accomplished, but knowing what her dreams and aspirations are.
Yeah.
So much like the HALE fellows, the ZCEI fellows, we talk about those things. What are your dreams and aspirations? We reflect a lot. We have discussions about what's going on in the world and where do we see ourselves in a certain amount of time. And it's also, I tell them that too. I share those dreams and aspirations from my heart as well. So it's not just knowing, okay, Erin can do these certain tasks, check, check, check. It is really, truly having that connection. And that's that part of the mentorship, that circular motion of mentorship.
Yeah.
How are they growing? Where are they growing into? Where are they going? Where do they hope to go? And then knowing if that could be a good fit to at least open that door and take that next step. The only thing that happened in the office that day is there was an opportunity. I presented it to Erin. She said yes. Erin did the rest of that work.
Yeah.
She did the rest of the work through the interview process, the negotiating process, and now she has her post-grad journey waiting for her.
All right. So we won't let the audience wait too long. Erin, where are you going to start your professional career?
So as of 3 weeks ago, I guess now, maybe 4, I've lost track, but I accepted a position as an executive assistant at the Northern Kentucky Chamber of Commerce.
Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And the reason that I love this is because you and Mrs. A and the other fellows are also regulars to the Eggs and Issues that is hosted by the NKY Chamber of Commerce. So you have been investing in this experience way before you even knew this job was going to be your job.
Definitely.
And that's the other thing that you all do really well, is you get out in the community. You do things. It's Monday. Tomorrow's Tuesday. What are y'all doing tomorrow?
We have the Evening of Innovation hosted by Thomas More. Will be at DBL Law at their new building in Covington, talking about all things innovation.
Is this your last official fellows function?
I think so.
Okay. Well, we'll definitely have to celebrate it and take a moment. We'll take pictures. Hopefully Mrs. A won't be crying, but she probably will be.
I will be.
Yes. I know Mrs. A is going to say this often to you, but I'm going to say it. I am extremely proud of you, Erin.
Thank you.
I've seen you grow so much over the past year. But similar to the other fellows, and I think this is what you all have in common, is the desire to push yourselves into situations that are uncomfortable, but you see possibilities of growth. And that is something that is, you cannot coach, you cannot train. People either have it or they don't. And Mrs. A and I have been lucky to work with students, or the students find us or we find them. I don't know how it works, but the fellows on both sides of both campuses have that ability. And my advice to you, don't lose that. Life will get busy. Life will get complicated. You probably won't believe me when I say this, but 10 years from now, you're going to say, wow, life in college was so easy. But when life gets complicated, this desire to find safety and to become complacent kicks in. Don't let it. Remember this. Mrs. A, do you have any parting words for Erin?
You really want me to cry?
I want you to express to Erin whatever's on your mind.
Erin, I am also so proud of you, and proud that you had the audacity. Let me take a step back real quick. When I started at Thomas More, I moved my office to where I could have a window. But across my office was another office, which was Erin's office, which is also where there were supplies.
Okay. So her office was a supply
office.
Yeah, you
Okay.
heard that right.
Yes. So I would go in every so often when she was working and studying and to get supplies. And I would just say, hey, how are you? How are you? And Erin would stop and have a conversation with me. And she would ask me, how are you? And then I saw her at another off-campus event, which was not a center event. I just showed up because I wanted to come crash that party. And she was there. And I'm like, oh, I know you. Erin was really one of the first students I ever started to have interactions with on a deeper level. And that really mattered to me.
Yeah.
Starting a new job.
Yeah.
In a new role and building something from the ground up. And I knew immediately Erin was a kind soul and wanted me to feel welcome. And when students do that, it feels magical. You know that you can do good work there.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about Erin's GPA. I didn't know any of that. I just knew she was a kind person. She is a kind person. And what I'm really proud about is, and we said it a lot today, Erin has articulated how many uncomfortable positions and opportunities and doors that have been open where she has said, that kind of scares me. I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And I am so proud of you for taking that step and trusting me and I would never steer you in the wrong way and overcoming that, because that day at Union Hall, you could have said, nah, I'm not going to do this. Mrs. A, you have to do it on your own. And she didn't. So not only did she decide to do it for herself, but she also was there as a team member to me. So we could go up there and represent the center. And I'm just going to miss you. And I know that you are just down the street.
Like literally down the street.
Yeah.
Literally down the street. We're going to have a space, next year is in 1 NKY. It's not the same, and it's a new beginning.
Yeah.
It's a new relationship. I have the same rule as you that once they graduate, I'm no longer Mrs. A. I am Jenny. And I'm excited for that, and I'm going to miss you across the hall.
You'll miss my ice jingling down the hallway. She always says she can hear me coming with my metal water bottle and my ice rattling around.
You're
in
that
there,
person.
But yeah.
What will you miss about Thomas More, Erin?
So much. I think something we talked a lot about today was community. That's probably the biggest thing. It's one big community, but there's also so many unique little communities I've gotten involved with, and it's great to know those supports will still be there. But I will miss being in it every day. Yeah, for sure.
Before we leave today, I forgot the name of the teacher, but there was a teacher that won Teacher of the Year award for the entire United States and had a TED Talk, and I'll try to find it and link to it. But his phrase was, and I want to hear your thoughts about this. His phrase was, education is about relationships. What do you think when I say that?
I think it's 100% true. I went to a high school where that was very much the case, and I was able to have relationships with my teachers where I wasn't just a number or a student in the class. Like, they knew me, they knew what I was doing, they talked to me about things, and that was something I was very much seeking, trying to decide where I was going to go to college. I didn't want to be in a class of 200. I wanted to be in a class where I could know the teacher and the teacher could know me. And that is so powerful. Even though I didn't necessarily have Mrs. A as a teacher sitting in one of her classes, having that relationship and that connection was priceless.
Wow, that's powerful. Well, if you're listening to Econ with Dr. A for the first time, I really hope that you subscribe and listen to the future episodes. And I'd love to hear from you. Share on social media. Tell us what you found to be insightful as part of this conversation. We always, Mrs. A and I, and the fellows in general, try to create a feedback loop where we're always learning and engaging and hearing from the community. So be part of our community. Share with us what you thought about this episode. Erin, Mrs. A, I really appreciate you both being on this podcast. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Can I say one more thing?
You could say whatever you want.
Okay,
this is your
cool.
show.
Okay, I didn't want to miss this. The one other big thing me and Mrs. A talk about frequently is the importance of gratitude, and I try so often to let her know how appreciated and grateful I am for her and for you too for having us here today and for being a support. So thank you both for all your support and encouragement.
I'm so glad you said that. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. All right, that's a wrap.